Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. I mean Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. Oh boy, last time we wrapped up the investigation? I mean, I say wrapped up, I mean there's quite a few questions that we don't have answers to. Namely, why was Machi at the top of the little stage thing with Latusa's body? And, yeah, like it's just a lot of questions, but he's the prime suspect in the killing of Latousse, you know, the blind kid who shot this dude, but whatever. So yeah, let's go to the trial. I got not much to say here. Court is now in session for... How do I say that? Machi Tobe, Your Honor, the pixie of the arpeggio. Right, his trial. Court is in session. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Prosecution is a-okay, Herr Judge. Very well, Prosecutor Gavin. My opening statement, yeah. No, actually, there was something else I wanted to ask you about. Yes? Say you're going to visit someone in the hospital with an incurable disease. What do you say to them? Eh? I mean, you wouldn't say get well soon, right? Oh my god. You'd only be kicking them when they're down. What are you talking about? Actually, I'm going to visit someone who is terminally ill. Right after this trial. The Chief Justice's son. Wow? The Chief Justice? His son is afflicted with a most terrible disease. He doesn't have long, it seems. So I thought I'd go pay him a visit. I thought saying something moving might be the order of the day. Why don't grown-ups ever just say what's on their mind instead of pretending? She's looking at me with something like disgust. Hey, what are you looking at me like that for? In any case, I'm a bit busy today, so let's wrap this up quickly. What did that have to do with anything? Prosecutor Gavin, your opening statement, briefly. You're in luck, Herr Judge. I believe you'll be going on your hospital visit sooner than you think. First, to review the victim in this case. Romain Latousse, age 35. The global manager for diva songstress Lemoire. The cause of death, blood loss due to being shot by a large caliber revolver. These report is all the details. Court accepts this into evidence. Gonna be checking that. 45 caliber? That's quite large, isn't it? Real quick. I'm not about to be left in the dust due to loss of blood from a gunshot wound between 9 and 9:30. Okay. Time between shooting and death is under review. A direct hit from that could knock a man off his feet. However, the bullet struck him in his shoulder. The damage to the body was slight. Death was not immediate. Sadly, his blood was such that he could not be saved. Suppose the victim's condition could have been much worse, considering. Crime photo added to the court record. 2 shots were fired. Okay. 1 shot missed, the other penetrated and passed through the victim's shoulder. Both bullets were found in the vault at the scene. Observe the diagram. This is where the bullets hit. I see, the court accepts this evidence. Something is very amiss there. If we're talking about a 45 caliber revolver, real quick. Look at this diagram. How did that first one... When there's a wall right there... That might come into play. We must assume that the killer was adept at the weapon's use. Really? Yeah, apparently, weapons that size have a powerful kickback. If, say, the judge tried to fire one, it'd break every bone in his body. The defense will take more care in choosing examples. As I was saying, the victim was shot backstage in a dressing room. This dressing room has only one entrance. This door. It does seem to be the case, yes? However, there were witnesses who heard the gunshots. He's talking about you and Emma, huh? Yet, when the witnesses entered the room, it was empty. Save for the victim's body, of course. But that's impossible. Exactly. This murder was impossible. For all but one person. One person? That is, of course, the defendant, Maki Tobe. Only this defendant could have committed the crime. But how? It's quite simple. The circumstances of the crime scene make it clear. Very well. I assume you have testimony to back up this claim? Let the witness please take the stand. Oh, Emma, okay. Your name and profession, please. Emma Sky. I'm a detective for the police department. I was on security detail at the concert forum that night. Emma seems tired somehow. Security at the concert, you say? Some security I was. Couldn't even stop a murder. Now, don't blame yourself. Things like this happen. I've made even bigger mistakes in my career, you know. I'm sure that makes her feel much better. I want to hear about these bigger mistakes. In any case, because you were on security detail, the crime was quickly discovered. And we were able to identify the killer. You may give the court your testimony if you would. Describe the circumstances of that day and your discovery of the crime, please. Alright. The night of the murder, I was on security backstage at Prosecutor Gavin's request. Only people involved with the concert in some way were allowed backstage. At the beginning of the third set, I heard shots. Shots. Okay, I went to the room, filled with blaring rock music, and found the body. I examined the scene and determined that only the defendant could have done it. It was lucky that a detective was the first on the scene. But that door was the only way out of the room, right? Yeah, pretty much. Then I don't get it. How can they say that Maki did it? Looks like we need a bit more information. Very well, the defense may begin the cross-examination. Okay. Yeah, something's wrong here. Murder was security. No, we're going on. Because I'm gonna need a little more info right here. How could you know something like that? As I said, it was clear from the circumstances. Listen, we know there was only one exit from the room, that door. The small window only opened a tiny crack. And I was standing in front of that door. So how could the killer have fled the scene? There's only one possibility. The air vent. Ah! But that air vent was too small. Who could possibly... Exactly. There's certainly no way you could get through. Nor me. The only one who could fit through was a child. A child? Remember, access to those rooms was limited. Only those involved with the concert were allowed. And of all the people involved with the concert, only one is small enough to be considered a child. The defendant! The pixie of the arpeggio flitted up toward the sky, and disappeared from the scene of the crime. But that's just conjecture. Oh? There's no other way out of that room. You were there, and you should know, Hair Forehead. And there is another vital piece of evidence. Evidence? What? Marks were found on the air vent grill. Traces that it had recently been opened. Wait, what? And something else was found quite clearly. The defendant, Makitobe's fingerprints. What? What? How? Order! 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 That air vent was the only way out of the room. The defendant's fingerprints were found on the grill. Well, Hair Forehead, what fairy tale does this suggest to you? Only one could pass through that vent, that doorway to heaven. And that one is our pixie. Why are you looking at me, Apollo? Hey, I was out whooping it up in the audience. So this was his decisive evidence. Quite decisive indeed. In all the circumstances under which the body was found, I was there. The examination of the crime scene was enough to nail down the killer? I'm sure they have a good reason. They must have had a good reason to arrest Maki. And I'm going to find out what it was. We found out what it was. Rock? Blaring, yes. When you say rock, are you referring, perhaps, to this rock and roll music that's so popular these days? That's right. When we went to the dressing room, music was blaring over the speaker on the wall. It piped sound from the stage into the backstage through the speakers. That way people in the back can hear when they're supposed to be on stage. Did it have to be so loud? You don't listen to the governors with your ears. You feel it with your entire body and soul. I always have the backstage monitors at full volume. When we walked in the room, the band was playing Guilty Love, I believe, making it easy to determine the time of the crime. You could hear that music playing. Then everyone on stage for that song has an alibi, including myself. Anyway, I closed off the scene and started my investigation. Okay. I believe we were having a chat when we heard the shots. You were the one chatting. I was eating snackos. Ah, hey, no snacking in court. And you're sure the shots came from Lemoire's room? Yes, absolutely. Hey, I'm the one being cross-examined here. Here, this will keep you quiet. Thanks. So, oh my god, he's eating it. How about it, Emma? You're right, Mayor. Hard to be mistaken about that. The snacking sound stuff. Please, either talk or eat. Not both at the same time. Right. So after that, me and Mr. Lawyer there opened the dressing room door. Press on that? You were let in, though. I didn't know about that. I certainly didn't invite you. I gave the Fraulein special permission to be there. I wanted to see her again. Oh boy, did you hear that? We're officially involved now. Gee, great. Some other hangers-on tried to get backstage, but I drove them off. So no other outsiders were there then. And then... might as well press on everything. The night of the murder was the night of the concert, yes? That's right. What was a detective doing on security detail, might I ask? If it was only a concert. My thoughts exactly. But orders are orders, even if they come from rock gods. Prosecutor Gavin? Yes, allow me to explain. I smelled something that day, you might say. The stench of conspiracy. That day at the concert hall. Conspiracy? Well, isn't it obvious? My keys, that whole morning, no, the whole day was ruined. And it's all because someone stole my keys. I couldn't ride my hog to the show. I couldn't open my guitar case. There he goes again. Isn't it possibly simply misplaced them? Misplaced them? Misplaced items don't just wander into a murder victim's hand on their own. What's this? Prosecutor Gavin, if your keys were in the victim's hands, that makes you a prime suspect. Love, slow acting and new. Ultra Quinine is waiting for you. He's singing something. Does everything with this guy have to be so over the top? The killing happened in the middle of my concert. I was like a sailor, adrift on a sea of sound. Anyway, I didn't want anything else stolen, so I put the detective with the most time on their hands on the task. I see. I can accept that. Well, I can't. Do you mean time on... or what do you mean time on their hands? I believe that's enough of that. The prosecution has a rather convincing case. The only way in and out of the crime scene was watched, making the defendant the only one who could possibly leave the scene. Simple and decisive. I believe we've heard enough to determine our verdict, even if I wasn't in a hurry to make a hospital visit. I'm sure the Chief Justice will appreciate the gesture. Unfortunately, we have no direct witnesses. Fortunately, the criminal left decisive evidence for us. That will have to be enough. Arg, it can't be over already. Very well, I believe this trial is finished. The defense has no contradicting evidence. The prosecution has presented our proof, clear and plain. If you have contradicting evidence, it better be clear and plain. Apollo, they got us on the ropes already. You better come up with something quick. I know. Think. We can get us out of this. We need evidence, or a witness that can prove Maki is innocent beyond a doubt. Without that... Mr. Justice? Do you have contradicting proof that can overturn the prosecution's case? If you do, you'd better tell us about it now. This is it, and so soon. If I mess this one up, it's all over. Alright, well, since you put it like that, we're just gonna go ahead and do a little safe to save right there. The court wants contradicting proof. He told us there was a witness. Siren. Let's go. Prosecutor Gavin, you claim that there were no witnesses to this crime. Are you absolutely sure? Absolutely. I'd swear it on my career as a prosecutor. And on my million-seller hit song, Ultra Quinine, my love. There he goes again. That's too bad, because there was a witness. Oh, really now? But how did you come to possess knowledge the prosecution clearly does not? Because I am the only one in the world who knows this. What's going on? I just talked to him and now... He's alive. Mr. Latouche, can you hear me? Cold. So cold. Witness? You're cold. Don't worry, you're gonna be fine. Help is on the way. Can't see. Hang in there, Mr. Latouche. Tell me, who was the witness? The witness is... Siren. What? The victim said this before he died. Perhaps he did, and perhaps he did not. What do you mean by that? All of you know is what Herr Forehead says, he said. It's no testimony, especially since it comes from the defense attorney himself. Objection! But it's the truth. He said it. I even told you about it. But apparently you ignored me completely. It's my policy to fully investigate everything I deem irrelevant. Clearly this rookie lawyer thinks he can tell me how to do my job. That's enough. Mr. Justice, we need clear contradictory proof from you. This witness of yours, unknown to the prosecution. Hope you're right. Failure carries a stiff penalty. Perhaps a stiffer penalty than usual is called for. There's no backing out now. Let's hear the name of your witness, Mr. Justice. Lemoire? Recall Mr. Latouse's last words. The witness is Siren. And she was behaving weirdly. The siren? Aha! He meant the siren! That's right. The siren of the ballad, Lemoire. Lemoire was only on stage for the second set, and she had access to the backstage area. She could have been a witness. I see. Oh, Prosecutor Gavin? My claim still stands. There was no witness to this crime. Very well. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth then, shall we? We will now take a break from Detective Emma Sky's cross-examination. Please show Lemoire to the witness stand. Lemoire would say nothing the night of the murder. Not today, though. Today we'll drag that story out of her no matter what it is. Why is he so smug? It is my distinct honor to welcome the siren of the ballad to our courtroom. You are too kind. Ah, you can speak English? Yes, I can. Though I am not very good. There is much I do not know. Oh my god, my French accent is like completely gone. You speak so well. Have you spent time here before? Actually, I do not know how I came by my knowledge of your language, nor where I studied it. What does she mean she doesn't know? I too thought to call her as a witness, but I did not. I had a reason, of course. What's that? Lemoire suffers from amnesia. Amnesia? Lemoire is not my true name. Yet I remember nothing of the time before I was given it. Nothing of the time before I started singing on stage. Stage? What kind of accent am I doing? It's like French mixed with Valley Girl, and it's awful. Whoa, she's even more mysterious than I thought. As lauded singer Lemoire, she lives a good life. There are little difficulties for her, thanks to her success. Yet, I did not wish to subject her to unnecessary stress. I see. I care surprisingly little about people's pasts. You have nothing to fear in this court, Lemoire. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Yet, there is something I do not understand. I am being called as a witness? What might I say? No one will tell me anything of what happened. Lemoire, let me be frank. I did not want to ask you up here to testify. Yet that young gentleman with the wide forehead over there was adamant that you stand. Oh my! Congratulations, Apollo. You're the bad guy. Ugh. Well, now that you're here, please give us your testimony. If nothing else, the sound of your voice is welcome. Tell us what you saw the night of the crime. Alright. What she saw. As for what I saw nothing. The night I was invited to sing on stage, and this I did. I did not return backstage after the second set. And I was led by the police to Mr. Gavin's dressing room and told to wait there. That was where I learned that something had happened, but I wasn't told the details. I must say, you sound wonderful, just testifying. I hope he was too distracted to hear what she was actually saying. There you have it. She saw nothing that night. Now we can only pray that the defense has the sense to admit defeat and refrain from detaining her longer than need be. Wow, you just got better, Apollo. Way to go. Very well, Mr. Justice. Keep it short and sweet. Lemoire wouldn't talk to me the night of the crime. She must know something, and I've got to find out what. Okay. I saw nothing the night I was invited to sing on stage, and this I did. Did not return backstage after the second set. You did not return backstage once. Where were you then? What were you doing? I was cleaning up on the stage. There are many things I must do for a performance other than simply sing. And was Maki with you at the time? Unfortunately, I do not know where he was. So much for an alibi for Maki. With Maki, correct? How was he then? He seemed as he always does. I believe he was shocked by the news of Mr. Letus's death. Yet, he's not the type to show much emotion. Yes, he's given the police no end of headaches. He answers most questions with silence, and those glinting frames speak nothing. The questioning hasn't gotten very far. We sat there waiting. There's something that happened. Wasn't told the details. But you were back there waiting with Maki. How was the incident explained to you? I was told nothing in detail, only that Mr. Letus died. Of course, investigations require some security. Mr. Letus was my manager. I wanted to know more. I should have been told. Both Maki and I were beside ourselves with concern. Allow me to apologize, but please understand. Keeping you in the dark was as painful for me as it was for you. Yes, I understand. Think, what doesn't ring true about her testimony? It's hard to imagine Lamar lying. She might not be lying, but she's hiding something. What wouldn't she tell me the night of the murder? But you must have seen something. Mr. Letus named you. Mr. Letus? How can I tell you what I don't know? Lamar, he said you were a witness with his dying words. I do not know what he meant to say, but that night... Fight to sing on stage, oh my god. It was a great concert. You heard me sing? Thank you. I was hoping to get an autograph later, actually. Of course. Mr. Justice, this is a cross-examination. You're out of line. If anyone deserves an autograph, here it's me. One on my gavel would be nice. Here, Judge. What's this? It's my autograph. Now keep this trial moving. What? Oh, my grandchild will be so happy. Apparently his grandson is a big fan. Let us continue, shall we? If you would, Lamar. Tell us what you did after your stellar performance. Now return backstage. Got her. But I don't know where to present this to. Because that was found in her dressing room, not Gavin's.
Objection!
Got it. I'm sorry, Lamar, but I'm having trouble believing you. You remember this brooch, do you not? Why, that's Lamar's. She was wearing it for her song. Care to add that to the testimony, Prosecutor Gavin? What? This brooch was found after the murder took place. At the very scene of the crime. What? Yeah, you sweating, boy. Lamar? How did your brooch get backstage if you did not go there yourself? And as Prosecutor Gavin has just told us, you have been wearing it during your performance that night. Oh my god! That's shock animation. What is the meaning of this, Lemoire? Please explain. Lemoire. Aristatska convenienza mano. That's Italian and Russian gibberish. She says English is quite difficult. That trick's not going to work here. Isabelle, comment ça va? Ça va? Your forehead may be large, but you are a lawyer, truly. But you have missed one important fact. What now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. In fact, at the time of the incident, I went backstage, but only for a moment. What? This north, this way, this hit. Think back to the moment of the crime. You know whereof I speak. She really saying all that? What's she talking about, Apollo? Right when the incident occurred. Is she talking about that? Watch this room for me. I have to call for backup. Right, understood. You want me to make sure no one comes in, right? Mr. Latouche, can you hear me? Cold, so cold. Witness. You're cold, don't worry, you're gonna be fine. Help is on the way. The witness is a siren. Siren? How can a siren witness anything? Yipes, Emma? What was that? Who's there? What's wrong? Emma, did you see anyone just now? Huh? No. Could have sworn I heard a door close. What does that have to do with anything, though? Just a glance, mind you. So this was when your brooch dropped. That explains that. It does. There's no other time I could have dropped it. But that's ridiculous. You only looked for an instant, but you dropped your brooch. Hair forehead. She has raised a possibility. The only thing that can counter that is evidence. So she looked in at the crime scene. Actually, I intended to go into the dressing room. I knew nothing of what had happened, of course. But the moment I opened the door, I heard a horrible voice. Hair forehead shouting, who's there, no doubt. A horrible voice indeed. Ugh. I closed the door immediately. Well, that explains the brooch. Does it really? Let's return to your testimony. That's too convenient. She's hiding something. Lamar, you did look into that room, though, right? Yes. Testify as to what you saw. Very well, though it was only the briefest of glimpses. Performance was finished. I went backstage for just a moment. I saw nothing. Like Mr. Latouche's body was behind a wall. How? A wall. Was there a wall there? Is what in English? A division, or partition, I believe. It was a large dressing room divided into two halves. And the murder took place in the inside half. Guess that partition might have hidden the body. Okay. What did you see in that brief glimpse? I'd only opened the door slightly when I heard that horrible voice. And shut the door? I've always wondered, Hair Forehead. Does that voice of yours like a volume knob? It's my cords of steel, man. Just back off. Just back up, man. Okay. But I don't know, man. I just don't know. Let's see if she's lying. Wow, that is so minor. That is so minor, her neck. Because the bracelet or ring or whatever, that icon was lit up. This is a new bit of testimony. I mean, this can only be, and I was just like looking over and over again, like, what is changing? Like, what's a possible tell that she's giving me?
Gotcha!
The late Mr. Latouse's body, you say? Yes. You know something more about Mr. Latouse's death than you were saying. What? I can see you trying not to remember. But the effort made you swallow. You can't fool my eyes. It is true. It was so terrible after all. Why did Mr. Latouse have to be shot? A moment, Lemoire. Yes? What was that you just said? Why did Mr. Latouse have to be shot? Yes? She was hiding something. I knew it. Lemoire, I'm afraid you haven't realized it, but your words just now contradict your testimony. Eh? How could that be? Take this. Mar contradicted her own testimony, and I have the evidence to prove it. Because we never told her that he was shot. So yeah, like the diagram, because you can't see, yeah, from even how it opens. I do not misunderstand the meaning of contradiction. It is you who contradict, Mr. Justice. Huh? Your evidence is me. No, what the fuck? No, you lying. What? Why Mr. Latouse have to be shot? Totally contradicts her testimony. What? Alright, then this. The gag order. Alright. I mean, I have a feeling mine should have worked too, but fine. Tell me, Mr. Or, no, not Mr. Tell me, Lemoire. How did you know he had been shot? Well, Immediately following the incident, a gag order was placed on the scene. This is the document proving that. In your testimony, you told the court. No one told me anything about the incident. Furthermore, you testified that you had seen nothing. Yet you knew that Mr. Latouse had been shot. How could you have known? Got her. Lemoire! You aren't hiding something from this court, I hope. That sweet song of hers was sounding a little too sweet. Now I remember. Please, allow me to add it to my testimony. Of course. All we want to know is the truth. She looks kind of pale, huh? She saw something. I knew it. Even the victim said so. I saw bullet holes in the wall and knew Mr. Latouse had been shot. Only a glimpse, yet you knew they were bullet holes. Yes, I recognized them immediately. I have seen bullet holes before, you know. You have traveled the world as a singer. You must have sung in places far more dangerous than our country. I go wherever my voice is needed. Those places are many these days. That's really cool. I hope I can travel like Lemoire someday. Other than recording my next album overseas, The studios have a different sound, you know. We're actually on a Courts of Steel tour, too. Saw the bullet holes. No, that's impossible. Because of how that door opens.
Objection!
Lemoire, they call you the Siren of the Ballad. But lies are hardly becoming of such a creature. Put down worthy of our prosecutor, Mr. Justice. Such put-downs are hardly becoming of you, Apollo. Stop polishing your forehead to start polishing your character, yeah? Come on, can I be cool for once? Observe the diagram. Lemoire, you looked in from the door for just a moment, correct? Yes, it is so. There were bullet holes in the room, yes, but they were in the wall the door is on. You see, assuming you merely glanced into the room, you couldn't have seen those bullet holes. Got her. Lemoire. Yes? I'm afraid the defense has raised a good point. It appears you have been holding back something. And I must tell you? I must tell you what it is that I saw? Yes. The happenings in this trial are being recorded. I'm certain it will be on the news in Burguinia. You understand your reputation is at stake. It falls to you to avoid tarnishing it. Personally speaking, I still believe that cross-examining her will yield us absolutely nothing. But she knew how Mr. Latouche died, and he named her as a witness. You must have seen something, Lemoire. Very well. Lemoire, please continue your testimony. Very well, I shall. What I saw too. Okay. I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There was something like a little window there. That's how I saw it. There were 2 shots. I couldn't do anything to stop it. But it wasn't Maki. It was a grown person. I know it was. So you did witness the crime. And the killer was a grown person, you say? Ugh, this is my first time hearing this, I assure you. Nice play, Hair Forehead. Very well, Mr. Justice. Begin your cross-examination. Where are you going, Apollo? You're right about Lemoire. What's wrong? You don't look too happy. This whole thing smells fishy, that's what's wrong. Can you describe the person you saw then? A grown person. That's a little vague. I am sorry. My skill with your language is lacking, I know. Certainly you could at least see whether the shooter was male or female. It was a man. A young man. And you're sure of that? Yes, his voice was quite clear. Voice? Looking at this diagram, it seems the dressing room was quite cluttered. It does seem likely that you wouldn't have had a clear view of the shooter. As a singer, I rely more on my ears than my eyes. When I hear a voice, I do not forget it. That voice was the voice of a man. So you heard a voice? But wait. Couldn't that have been the victim, Mr. Latouche? Absolutely not. Did I not just say that I do not forget a voice? If it was Mr. Latouche who spoke, I would have known. Indeed. So you were at the window when you heard the shooter's voice, the voice of a young man.
Apollo, this is a good testimony. It proves it wasn't Maki.
Indeed. If this turns out to be true, it would cast this case in a considerably different light. What is the defense's opinion of this testimony? Do we have the fingerprints? Load the weapon is a revolving chamber. That's where you load the bullets. A revolver, see? Revolver. That sounds a bit like Wonder Bar. Especially if you say it really fast. I guess. You know what I always used to think? The closest sound to Wonder Bar was one liver. There's so many words in the world, Apollo. Isn't it amazing? So many different words, so many different people. People like Trucy. Ones that shoot bullets. Bullets the magic cat. I don't think I would care to see that act. But yeah, I mean, it is contradictory, because... But I don't... What happens if I say it's pretty good? Well, I'd have to say it's pretty good. Vital, even. It shows that the shooter wasn't Maki. Ha! Surely you can't be serious, Hair Forehead. Why not? Lamoire, I understand why you would want to protect Maki. But remember, you are the siren of the ballad, and lives would not become such a creature. What does the prosecution mean? Apollo, what's he talking about? I don't know about tonight when he says stuff like that. I recalled the state of the crime scene quite well. The state of the room. Yes, and when the murder took place, that window was closed. I find it hard to believe you could hear a voice through it. What? But I'm sure. Lamoire, I have nothing but the highest regard for your musical sense. But my opinion of you as a witness is somewhat lesser. Objection! But she's the only eyewitness we have. Objection! So you say. And the victim named her the Siren as the witness? That's right. That's what Mr. Latouche. We heard your claim. We even entertained the possibility, and it brought us to this. Herr Judge. Yes? Prosecution requests that the witness be excused. Please. Afraid I must honor the prosecution's request. There's indeed a question of the witness's credibility. But if Lamar can't testify, we don't have a chance of proving Maki's innocence. This cross-examination is over. Prosecutor Gavin, you may continue making your case. Danke. Now, where were we? Ah yes, I would like to hear from Fraulein Detective again. Objection! Wait, let me hear Lamar's testimony one last time. But the cross-examination is already over. Until such a time as a need arises, this witness may leave the stand. I'm sorry I could not be of more assistance. Did I fuck up? At last, back to the real trial. Ready, Hair Forehead? Hope I didn't just miss my only chance. I don't think I had anything to prove otherwise. Probably Detective, how far had we gotten until we were so rudely interrupted? Don't ask me. I just like saying the same thing twice. And I'd never repeat a song for an encore. If you would, Miss Sky? I believe I was saying that the only way Mr. Latouche's killer could have escaped was through that air vent on the ceiling. Well, yes, there was only one door in the room, and a witness, you, was standing in front of it.
An air vent isn't very big, see? Kind of limits the people who could possibly get through.
It certainly would have a difficult time.
You sure would. You would have been there in the first place, though. Remember, the whole backstage area was off limits to people not involved with the concert. The only one who meets the conditions for our killer is the defendant.
A virtuoso performance. Couldn't have put it better myself. She does state a clear case. While reading the report, something caught my eye. Oh? What's that? The circumstances of the defendant's arrest. The circumstances?
Hey, that's right, Apollo. Remember when we found Maki? That was bizarre.
She's right. Why did Mr. Latus's body disappear from the room? And end up on top of that stage tower with a guitar. Holding the guitar, no less, thank you. A perceptive observation here, Judge. Thanks! It was kind of an accident, really. But you work in this job long enough, you get a nose for things.
The judge sure seems pleased with himself.
Very good, Fraulein Detective. Perhaps you can tie it all together for us. 5 was the body moved. And how does that lead us to the killer? The missing body.
I believe Maki stole the body because of some lyrics. He moved the body to match Lemoire's song. No one in this country had a motive to kill the victim. And Maki practically left his signature at the scene. All of this evidence clearly points to the defendant.
Lemoire's song? Yes, the guitar Serenade. You noticed its code too, did you not? Its code? All the events that day followed the lyrics to our song. First, the keys my heart held on to so tightly were stolen. Then Prosecutor Gavin's guitar burst into flames on stage. Mr. Latus's life was taken by a bullet. The rest hardly needs explanation. Guitar, guitar, up together to the sky. That's mad! It's like a story out of some fairy tale. I admit I'd forgotten about the song. But there it is now, waiting for me. The grand finale, as it were.
Hey, I was the one who first noticed that.
I've heard of jumping rope to songs and counting the songs. But killing? It's a wild world out there, Herr Judge. Very well. We've heard one song and dance. Let's get on to the next. Cross-examination. I'm not so sure I'm going to be doing much singing. But how? That giant-ass dude. Does the prosecution have any idea why he'd do all this? Or how?
Well, my scientific opinion, no clue. But he clearly had a reason to go through all that trouble. Some deep reason.
A deep reason. Not only did he steal my keys, he torched my guitar. Unforgivable acts even if he had a reason. And worse if he had none.
The Diva's complaints aside, I can't imagine someone doing this on just a whim.
Fraulein Detective, I take offense at that description. Indeed, it does seem too well rehearsed, shall we say.
Yes, this crime was planned for sure.
But Mr. Latus spoke English. He may have come to this country before.
I looked into that, I assure you.
Oh?
It was his first time in the country, it seems. Apparently, he learned English on his own.
Great. You see? No one here had a motive to kill him, certainly not in such an elaborate fashion. It does seem difficult to imagine.
Unless our famous prosecutor did it as a publicity stunt. What did you say? Prosecutor Gavin, you did this to promote your song? Of course not. I am quite dismayed by the ludicrous nature of her claim. Why would I need promotion? Everyone already listens to my music. They're even in my textbook at school. And I'd never heard of them. What does that say about me? I was just kidding. Don't get all worked up, Glimmer Boy. Glimmer Boy. What do you mean by his signature? The bullet holes in the wall, of course. The bullet holes. The revolver was fired twice. One shot missed and left a hole in the wall. And that means what exactly? My dressing room isn't exactly spacious. Picture the shooter facing off with the victim in there. They can't have been more than 5 feet apart. It'll be difficult, almost impossible to miss at that range. Difficult to miss, you say? Very. Assuming the shooter could properly aim. No, you can't be serious. Wacky, he can't see. That's why he missed? It's the only explanation that makes sense. He used sound and other senses to fire the gun. Poorly. That reminds me, the monitor in that room was blaring at the time, yeah? Hardly ideal conditions for tracking by sound. A blind shooter. No wonder he missed. I knew those bullet holes would come back to haunt me. Think, Justice, what do I do now? Sit back and watch what happens. He couldn't see it, so the first shot missed. As explanations go, it's airtight. Appears the shooter did leave his signature. Afraid this is looking bad for our young defendant. The witness may continue with her testimony. Oh my god, but... I'm going to try raising an objection because I still don't like the placement of one of those bullet holes. Sure, there were bullet holes left in the wall, but that doesn't prove the shooter couldn't see. Not to mention there's the fact that it's a .45 caliber, like they kept saying, like it's a tough gun to handle. Oh, how so? Well, there could have been a struggle with the victim. That's certainly possible. And it might have been the revolver's fault. The revolver? The revolver was a very large caliber, correct? The shooter wasn't used to firing such a large weapon. Why, it could dislocate their shoulder. Exactly. The defendant, Maki Tobe, is, as you can see, tiny. It's not so hard to picture him firing the gun and missing entirely. The kickback alone would throw off his aim. Convincing argument, to be sure. Ha ha! Take that, smug prosecution. Apollo? Huh? What? That bit about Maki being tiny. And the gun throwing off his aim? Aren't you kind of, admitting that he did it? Oh. It does not matter why he missed. What matters is that the shooter was, without a doubt, the defendant. Even the defense seems to agree on that point. No, it was hypotheticals. Oh my god. Cripes, really put my foot in it this time. But let's get the facts of the matter on the record. If you would, Fraulein Detective. Very well, the witness will add this to her testimony. Right. From the state of the crime scene, I conclude the shooter was blind. What? You can't say he was blind just because of those bullet holes in the wall. I think I've proven that. I wouldn't call it proof, per se. Huh? You've merely raised a possibility. Fraulein Detective has made a most logical conjecture based upon the evidence. Of course, there is more evidence than just bullet holes.
The defendant was the only one who could have escaped through the air vent. But wait, if he was blind, how would he know about the air vent in the first place? Ah, a very good point. Well, Fraulein Detective, if you would care to explain. He certainly seems sure of himself. Recall the crime scene, if you would. There was a stepladder below the air vent. As it happens, maintenance was scheduled for that day. Custodial staff went around checking all the air vents. I don't believe it. Everyone backstage was told about the maintenance, including Maki Tobe. He would have known that there would be a way out at the top of that stepladder. But why is this the first time I'm hearing about this? You could have figured it out for yourself. You only needed to consider what that stepladder was doing there. Looks like the defense's objection has been squished by a stepladder. Well, Hair Forehead? Out of ammunition, perhaps? Never seen Prosecutor Gavin so aggressive. Maybe he's caught the scent of blood. Apollo, don't you have something? Anything? You know what we need? We need something to prove the killer could see. That'll put him in his place. Proving the shooter was sighted would do it. That would take down one of their central points. Do I have any evidence that can prove that, though? The fact that the dying message was smudged out. That's the one thing I can think of. Fine, I accept the prosecution's challenge. As I knew you would, Hair Forehead. What exactly am I up against here? Prosecution is saying the shooter missed because they couldn't see. Therefore, Maki, who's blind, did it. The defense will please present their evidence. Evidence that overturns the prosecution's claim that the shooter couldn't see. Putting it all on the line here. This is that evidence. Photograph of the crime scene. I don't care much for the smirk on Prosecutor Gavin's face, but this is no time to think twice. Yes, Your Honor, the crime scene. There is something in here that decisively contradicts the prosecution's point. And perhaps you'd best show us this something. Get your finger out of the breeze and put it to good use, yeah? Very well, show us what you're talking about, Mr. Justice. Contradiction at the scene of the crime is... Bada boom. Contradiction is right here. The smeared bloodstains? I thought it was just my blurry vision. But it really was blurry. The way the victim's hand is raised above his head. Much like a gesture I've seen many times in this court. Sounds as if he wrote something. Aha! I get it! At least, I think I get it. Get what, Fraulein? When Mr. Latouche was shot, he tried to write something. And what would he write but the shooter's name? And what would he write it in but his own blood? Pretty good, huh? Thanks for making my point for me. Yes, in fact, that's what I think happened here. There does seem to be a distinct possibility. The victim wrote the killer's name. It's certainly a logical conclusion. Drat, I just wish it wasn't all rubbed out like that. Of course it's rubbed out. Why, if I were a killer, I certainly wouldn't want to leave my own name behind. Gazes at the Chapter 1 culprit in Danganronpa. Well, yeah. Neither would I. No one has anything else to say? About what? So the prosecution accepts this. You agree this was the victim making an attempt to record the name of the killer. And that the killer tried to rub the name out. What's your point? What's my point? Let me ask you this. How did the killer know the victim was writing their name?
Well, Mr. Latus is writing something in blood. Once the killer saw what it was. Wait. Once he saw what it was? But what did you just testify about the shooter? I said they were blind. Yet the crime scene itself contradicts that. The killer had to have been able to see. Why would they rub out the name in blood otherwise? May I remind the court that the defendant, Maki Tobe, is blind. He couldn't have been the shooter. Impossible. Order! 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 Prosecutor Gavin, please explain to me what all this means. I mean, looking at this photo, it seems quite clear that the shooter could see. Yet up until now, it seems I owe the court an apology. The Gaviners are a band with law enforcement ties, yet a murder occurred. During our concert, apparently this caused some confusion over jurisdiction. As a result, some reports were not filed in an entirely timely manner. I'm not sure I like the vibe I'm getting here. Hey Apollo, look at him. Why is Professor Gavin all relaxed and smiling like that? Like he knows something we don't. And he's about to tell us. I've got an idea. Let's rock. With these documents, but before that, I have a question for the Fraulein detective. If I may? What? Tell me, why do you think that Maki Tobe is blind? Huh? What did he say? What are you saying? Of course he's blind. Of course. He's a blind pianist, right? So he's... Doesn't Lamar lead him around by the hand all the time? No way. I have a report here on the defendant, Maki Tobe. According to this, Maki Tobe can see perfectly well. What? His blindness was merely a publicity ploy by those clever Burganians. He can see quite well. But you said... What did I say exactly? Hair forehead, not once in the course of this trial have I claimed the defendant was blind. The only one who did was Fraulein Detective. But that's a significant fact, yes. Consider Maki Tobe sees. And he was the only one who could have fled through the air vent. I see no problems with this. But what about the bullet holes in the wall? Yes, the bullet holes. I believe Hair Forehead neatly explained those for us. He didn't miss because he couldn't see. It was the kickback from the .45 caliber revolver. A simple accident, in other words. Ack. How's that? I'm afraid your objection has just flown off for brighter skies. This is where the real fun begins, Hair Forehead. Yarg! Good lord. Shrewd. I knew you didn't have what it took. You jerk. Because what was I in here for? Comic relief? Yeah, apologize. Oh, sorry. That's no way to apologize. He's angered the Trucy now. Look out. Ahem. We can please end the bickering now? Whatever. I'm not leaving. I can't leave like this. I'll come up with some clue to solving this case if it kills me. But your testimony has already given us enough to convict the defendant. Ugh, don't say that. Aha! Aha what? This blood stain. The criminal tried to wipe it off, right? That seems to be what happened, yes. You might be able to find out what was really written here. Really? You can do that? That's right, with this. It's called Luminol. Maybe you know of it? It's a chemical that reacts to blood. Ah yes, have we done those tests yet? Ha! As if I'm going to tell you.
Bloodstains covered a section of the carpet. In order to perform blood tests, that section was removed and submitted. Perhaps we should request it here in court now.
Right. Go for it, Apollo.
Huh? I have to do the test?
You just have to spray the luminol on it. Simple.
Chemical that reacts to blood.
I've heard of this somewhere.
Yes, I believe an analysis is called for. Have at it.
What do I gotta do it? Right, ready? It's easy as pie. Just touch the screen to spray the area. Here, give it a try.
The guys of the entire court are focused on me.
Apollo, your hand's shaking.
Ugh. Grah. Let's do this.
Wow, it really works. This must be the power of science. It says IPXX 314206. Is that the killer's name?
Maybe it is. If the killer was a robot.
Aha, I have it.
So what is it? I thought those letters, IPXX, looked familiar. This is an Interpol ID number.
Interpol? You mean the International Police Agency?
Yes. Most are undercover agents working to solve international crimes. But why would he write that number? Why would Mr. Latouche even know a number like that? Oh my god, he's an Interpol agent. Good show, Fraulein Detective. Rock on.
Eh?
Your Honor, we can verify this number immediately. Darian, are you there? Come on to the witness stand. Darian, you heard what we need. Go check into this Interpol ID number.
Sure thing. Give me 30 minutes. No. Give me 27.
I'm not sure what to think of all this. Prosecution's case is airtight, or so it seems. If this number is really that of an Interpol agent...
Oh, wait, I know. What if Makitobe is really an undercover Interpol agent?
That would be a possibility. A possibility, yes. And one that would mark him as the killer for certain. Why did Latouche know an Interpol ID number?
That's what I want to know.
Well, we have some time while we await Darian's report. Let's work on unraveling another mystery, shall we? A curious mystery concerning Makitobe. What are you talking about? Fraulein Detective, please accept my apologies. I received word that the defendant could, in fact, see just before the trial began. It seemed too much of a bother to tell you.
I mean, yeah. You had me until that last bit.
Does this not raise a rather straightforward question?
Well, sure. Why did Maki pretend he couldn't see?
Exactly. It makes little sense. What do you think, Hair Forehead?
Huh? Me?
Makitobe pretended he was blind. Do you know why?
How can he know? Wait, Prosecutor Gavin knows why, doesn't he?
He's known from the start of the trial. He's been leading us on the whole time. Something wrong? Do you think perhaps this is all some kind of game? Know that the moment I heard that report, I knew why. Suppose people who have sold over 1 million records really are something else.
What does that have to do with anything?
There was a reason why Makitobe pretended to be blind. But it wasn't for his own sake. Getting the picture now? It wasn't for himself? Oh, Mr. Justice? Can you present evidence that shows us why the defendant had to feign blindness?
No?
I don't know. I have no idea. Hair forehead, I'm disappointed in you. Unless you're merely feigning stupidity, yeah? Keep it up, wise guy. Recall the relationship of Lemoire and Maki Tobe. In particular, their arrangement over the years before visiting our country. Lemoire and her pianist. They would always walk together, she leading him by the hand. Even when they got on stage, she would lead him to the piano. She would walk all the way over there with him. That's right, because he was blind, or so we thought. She led him at all times. All times. All times? Yet we now know that Maki could see perfectly well. Why keep up the charade? Well, wasn't it part of their performance? There's a simpler explanation here, Judge. Maki did not need to be led by the hand at all. Which means... you don't mean... I do. It was the other way around. The one who needed to be led by the hand was Lemoire. What's this? Oh my god. She's blind? That would explain her heightened sense of hearing. But then that would just lead or bear credence to the fact that we could, or she could hear somebody's voice. This is insane. So you mean to say that Lemoire is... she's... blind as a bat here, Judge. What? What? So that's how he was so certain that she wasn't... Wow. This is crazy, Prosecutor Gavin. Yeah, wasn't she supposed to be the landscape painter in sound or something? Well, since we have her here... why not ask Lemoire herself? I believe she is still in the witness waiting room. Apollo, what does this mean for our case? Don't ask me. I had no idea she couldn't see. Hadn't even imagined it until now. Bailiff, bring in Lemoire. Lemoire. It pains me deeply to call you before us again in this way. And yet I must. Please, do not be concerned on my behalf. Those eyes. She really can't see? Really? It is true. How funny it is that a tiny lie born in the Burgundian countryside would one day grow to entangle the entire world. So you are... Yes, as I mentioned before, I have no memory of the time before I became Lemoire. Know too that my memories begin in darkness. The word light has no meaning for Lemoire. I see. You may recall me saying something toward the beginning of this trial, Hair Forehead. What's that? I believe I said it was unfortunate this crime had no direct witnesses. Now, Lemoire, I must ask you to stand once more. Will you testify to the court about your eyes? Of course. It was never my intent to deceive any of you. May I begin, Your Honor? Yes, of course. Well, I admit, I'm a little lost here. I think we're all a bit lost here, Your Honor. Yes. Especially me. Lemoire's eyes. I have no memory of the light. I debuted in a world of darkness and sound. A producer came up with my PR line before he knew this. So, silly as it may sound, I had to pretend I could see. Everyone on my staff knew, of course, but no others. But this is a murder trial. I apologize.
It is part of my contract, you see. I was to keep my blindness a secret, no matter what. Music is everything for me. I never imagined something like this would...
She told us the truth in the beginning. Then she said she saw nothing. Very well. Does the defense have anything to add? I'd like to cross-examine.
But what is there left to ask?
There was one thing in her testimony that bothered me. Perhaps it is best if we let you get it out of your system. Someday you'll come to understand the importance of thinking for yourself. Very well, the defense may proceed. However, be aware this court will not tolerate any questions deemed too stressful to the witness. I don't like the sound of that, yo. Okay, there was only one part that bothered me. Just let me ask about that and I'll be happy. So I need to be very careful here. Producer came up with your PR line before he knew this. Why? Perhaps your music reminded him of the Burgundian scenery?
No, it was quite the opposite.
The opposite?
According to my producer, the music has a certain global quality.
Global?
Multicultural, if you will. Hard to pin in one region. When people listen to it, they picture the country closest to their hearts. Which is why my music has reached so many.
What a lovely story. Sounds like this producer might have known what he was doing after all.
My songs are nothing more than a white canvas. To me, the real landscape painter are the listeners. When I think of that, I do not mind how I am represented to the world so much. Yet one thing quickly led to another.
Okay, maybe I don't, or maybe this isn't like a you get one chance situation. When you say your staff, do you include Mr. Latouche?
Of course, he was my manager.
So he knew. And that's what's been bugging me. Something the matter, Mr. Justice? I believe I know what is bothering our young defense attorney. You are thinking of when you discovered the body, yes?
Is he right, Apollo?
Yes, I was. And, he's alive. Mr. Latouche, can you hear me? Cold, so cold. Witness. You're cold? Don't worry, you're gonna be fine. Help is on the way. Can't see. He was telling us that she couldn't see. Not that he can't see, but that she's blind. Hang in there, Mr. Latouche. Tell me, who was the witness? The witness is... Siren. Mr. Latouche told me to ask the witness, and he named you. Why would he do that? He knew you were blind.
I don't know.
Tisk, tisk. What did I just say? You need to learn to think for yourself. Meaning what? There is no mystery here if you recall everything he said. Think of his last words once more. The witness, Siren. I've heard them many times, along with a little play acting by our defense. I remember them well myself, but that statement is not to what I refer. I mean, what he said before that. Before? What came before that?
Hey!
That's right. He tried to tell you. Then he said can't see. He wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about the witness. I see. Too bad the defense did not. Well, Hair Forehead, Try relaxing and looking at the facts first next time. Kirk. I mean, I did catch that. Do I get a cookie? Order! Order! Recall Lemoire's earlier testimony. I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There were 2 shots. I couldn't do anything to stop it. But she couldn't have heard those gunshots. I thought we proved that. It is not the most important point here. The moment he was shot, Mr. Latouche witnessed her through that window. Through the window. Why else would he have named her as the witness? Ah. But I really did hear them. 2 gunshots, and the man's voice. Unfortunately, such a thing was impossible. The window was closed. We have already run a simulation, of course. But it was so clear. If I heard that voice again, I would know it in an instant. Your Honor. What is it, bailiff? We have the results back from the investigation. The investigation? Ah, the Interpol number that Mr. Latouche left for us. Well, let's hear it. We'll continue this cross-examination afterward. Detective Crescent, your report, please. I asked Interpol about that number. I'm sure you'll find their answer intriguing. Quick work, as always, Darian. Well, tell us about the number. Is the defendant a secret agent? IPXX314206. The agent registered under this number was Romain Latouche. I knew it. What? Our undercover Interpol agent was Mr. Latouche himself. He was apparently in the middle of an operation. So, when he wrote those letters, he was trying to tell us his own identity. And a cautious killer tried to wipe them away. Mr. Latouche was an undercover Interpol agent? So him being Lamar's manager was just a cover, most likely. There's one other important detail I found. Well, out with it. It concerns that .45 caliber revolver, the murder weapon. Apparently it belonged to Romain Latouche. He had an Interpol permit to carry firearms, and the registration number on the revolver matched. So the victim was killed with his own weapon, which makes sense. It's hard to imagine someone who wasn't an Interpol agent with such a large revolver. So the victim was an Interpol agent on an undercover op. I was about to say OP. I wonder how that ties into everything. It's gotta tie in somehow, you'd think. Yeah, somehow. Thanks for looking into that for us, Detective Crescent. It's a great help. Oh, no problem at all, Your Honor. I'll be heading out. Wait! Lamoire, is something the matter? That voice just now. Darian? Mr. Darian, is it? It was him. I am sure of it. It was him? You aren't saying? That voice I heard, talking to Mr. Latouche when I heard the gunshots fired. It was him. It was Mr. Darian. Well, that's an animation. Is this some kind of a joke? What? No way. The courtroom fell into such a chaotic state the trial had to be suspended temporarily. I'd never seen that happen before. Of course, it's not every day that you get an accusation like that one. Lamoire fingering Darian Crescent. Not only is he a guitarist, he's a detective. Could it really have been his voice Lamoire heard? Things were changing fast, and frankly, I wasn't sure I could keep up with it. Hey, no wimping out now, Apollo. I had a feeling. Just based on her testimony, not like any prior things about Darian, but just based on her testimony and just things we know. Because he's like a police officer. He's better trained to handle firearms than some like child, especially a .45 caliber that would like fuck up a child. So he would know how to like properly hold the weapon, distribute the weight so that it won't like mess up his like arm or anything. And even then, like, he can probably get it done in one shot. And it was like a bit of a while between shots. So then he could like shoot the wall to throw everything off. Like make it seem like, oh, the shooter was inexperienced. Not to mention to be able to like take a gun. Because clearly if Romaine... I mean, even before I knew it was Romaine's gun, like, he would be able to overpower a freaking child. But now we know that the kid wasn't blind, so I don't know. But, yeah, like, you know, it would take another full-grown adult. And then her saying, like, she heard a man's voice, but only, like, certain people were allowed backstage. But then, he was on stage at the time of the murder. But that would explain why his, like, Q was acting up. Like, did he set up a kind of Rube Goldberg machine thing? And he had to sort of, like, listen out for it while on stage? I don't know, I'm sure we're going to figure out more of this later, but yeah, that's going to be it from me. Next time we see what happens, I don't know where this is going to be going, but this is interesting nonetheless. Thank you all for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you next time for some more Let's Play Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. Goodbye.